Let's talk about the accounting industry, because honestly, it feels like it's at a breaking point. If your firm is feeling the squeeze from talent shortages and just constant burnout, you are definitely not alone. But what if the answer wasn't about working harder, but building smarter? Today, we're diving into a huge shift away from old-school outsourcing to a much more powerful model, the hybrid global team.
So let me ask you straight up. Is your firm feeling the pressure? I'm willing to bet the answer is a big yes. And you should know, this isn't just you. It's a huge issue that's hitting pretty much the entire accounting world right now.
I mean, it's like a perfect storm, isn't it? You've got this crippling shortage of talent, clients who want everything yesterday, and a level of burnout on your team that is just not sustainable. For a lot of firms, this isn't some temporary problem. It's the new, exhausting reality.
And this isn't just a list of separate problems, it's a vicious cycle. The lack of talent means you overload your current team, which, of course, leads to burnout. That forces partners, the people who should be focused on strategy and growth, down into the weeds of day-to-day operations. And the result? The firm gets stuck, just spinning its wheels.
For years, the go-to answer was outsourcing. But come on, let's be real. That old model, it was a total gamble. You just kind of throw a bunch of work over the wall, cross your fingers, and hope for the best. It felt disconnected, it felt risky, because it was.
Well, that whole disconnected model is ancient history. The future is the hybrid team. And I want to be crystal clear about something. This is not about replacing your talented local people. It's about empowering them by totally redesigning your firm's entire engine for how you deliver your services.
Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. We're moving away from just handing off work and moving towards strategically integrating specialists. We're going from a risky, disconnected process to a controlled, collaborative partnership. This is not a short-term Band-Aid. It's a real, long-term strategy for making sure you have consistent, high-quality work.
So what is a hybrid team, really? Well, it's a pretty simple idea, but it's powerful. It's a blend of you local, onshore pros working hand-in-hand with offshore specialists, often in a hub like India. But the most important part of that sentence is this: one extended, cohesive unit. They're not two separate groups. They're one single team.
Okay, so the concept sounds great, right? But how does it actually work on the ground, day to day? Let's get into the nitty-gritty and see how these teams really operate.
Think about the engine room of your firm, all that daily accounting and bookkeeping. Now imagine offloading the really high-volume process-heavy stuff, like ledger updates, reconciliations, and AP/AR. Your global team nails the execution, which frees up your onshore team to do what they do best: review, analyze, and talk strategy with clients. And this isn't just for general bookkeeping. It's a perfect match for super specialized work like fund accounting, where accuracy is everything. Things like NAV calculations and investor statements need intense discipline and a rock-solid process, which is exactly where these specialized offshore teams shine.
And then there's tax season. Tax season. This is where the hybrid model goes from being a good idea to an absolute lifesaver. Imagine getting the bulk of individual returns, business filings, and all that work paper prep off your plate. It's a complete game changer for preventing burnout and keeping your turnaround times fast, even when things get crazy.
Okay, but what about communication? I get it. This is probably the #1 question, the biggest fear I hear. Everyone's worried about feeling disconnected. But in a modern hybrid team, communication isn't just some afterthought. It's the heart of the entire system.
And here's how that system works. It's not magic. It's built on simple, consistent routines. Daily check-ins, shared dashboards so everyone sees the same thing, and regular video calls for reviews. When you add in standardized documentation and tools you already use like Teams or Zoom, your offshore team can actually feel more connected than someone on your local team who's just working from home. And technology is the other huge piece of this puzzle. Smart automation is key. Systems use OCR, that's optical character recognition, to scan documents. Then NLP software, or natural language processing, literally reads and pulls the key data out of invoices and forms. And finally, workflow tools track everything from start to finish. This doesn't replace people. It supercharges them by cutting down on errors and boring manual work. So you combine the right people with these streamlined processes and smart tech, what do you get? Well, the result isn't just some small operational fix. It's a real, lasting, strategic advantage that can put you way ahead of your competition. And look, this isn't just theory. These are the real results firms are seeing, and they directly solve all those problems we talked about at the beginning. Employee turnover drops because your team isn't fried anymore, productivity goes way up, client turnaround times get faster, and most importantly, profit margins improve, and partners finally get the time to focus on that high-value advisory work that actually grows the business.
Of course, there are always fears and misconceptions. The first one I always hear is, but we'll lose our firm culture. People are really worried about this.
But you know what? The reality is almost always the complete opposite. What really kills culture? Stress, overwork, burnout. When your onshore team is freed up from the tedious stuff and can focus on more interesting, meaningful projects, morale skyrockets. Your culture doesn't just survive, it actually gets better.
Okay, here's the next big one. There's no way an offshore team will understand our clients' specific needs. They just won't get it.
And the answer to that is so simple, it's kind of brilliant. They don't have to. The whole model works because the roles are crystal clear. Your US-based team owns the client relationship. They own the strategy, the communication, all of it. The global team owns the execution. It's a clean, simple, and incredibly effective way to work.
So, all this brings us to the big question. Is this model right for you and your firm? Let's stop talking theory and get practical. Here's how you can figure out if it's time for you to make this shift.
So, what are the telltale signs? You know, the red flags that suggest a hybrid team isn't just a nice-to-have anymore, but an absolute necessity for your firm's survival and growth. Think of this as your final checklist. If your firm is growing but hiring is just a painful, slow nightmare, if peak seasons like tax time feel like you're just fighting for survival every single year, if your partners are drowning in operational details instead of leading from the front, or if you want to add new services without a massive jump in your payroll, well then it's probably not a question of if you should do this, but when.
And that really brings us to the most important point of all. In today's market, the future doesn't belong to the firms that just burn the midnight oil and work longer hours. It belongs to the ones that work smarter. The firms that are truly going to thrive are the ones building these intelligent, resilient, global hybrid teams.